What's going on, everybody? KG here. We're going to check out Black Friday on Amazon and go through some of the best deals for TVs and soundbars. So let's take a look at what we have available here. As you can see, as we start with sort of the budget range, you're going to see that they are very similar in price. You're also going to notice that in this entry level range, 55-inch and 65-inch are going to be roughly similar in price. Same thing with 50 inches. So really, if you are going to buy a TV and you have the space to fit a bigger size, it is always recommended to go with the 65-inch over a 55-inch, because even when we get into the more premium TVs, you'll notice that 55 and 65 are priced very similar. 55-inch TVs don't have as much profit margin on them compared to 65-inch. So let's look at some of the best deals that are going to be available. And you may have seen some of these deals covered in other videos that I've done. But for those of you that are new here, I do want to make sure we go over all the best deals that we possibly can so that you can end up getting the best TV for yourself at the end of the day. Now, I just want to make sure you guys know this is not a sponsored video, but if you guys want to help support the channel, I do have affiliate links. If you want to help out while buying your next TV, it is greatly appreciated. Thank you guys so much for your support. Now, let's go through some of these deals. So one of my favorite deals for like that mid-range premium kind of borderline discussion is the S90F. And the reason why I say it's kind of like a mid-range premium borderline, it's like a hybrid between these two, is because the S90F does perform very similarly to a premium TV, and the price is less than what a premium TV would be. It's more closer to what a mid-range TV would be. And the way I kind of classify these things is the 55-inch 1197. You can see that a lot of other TVs are going to be in the mid-range category for $999, $1199 for 55-inch, and 65-inch is $1399. So like I discussed earlier, you do have 65-inch and 55-inch very close in price. And then even here you have a 77-inch for $2,000. And we're going to go through some other options available for OLED TVs if you can't quite get to this level as well. And I'll also go over some of my budget picks. In my opinion, there is a lot of TVs that I would call trap TVs. They're definitely more along the lines of you can get better TVs for the money in a lot of these cases. But when we're looking at sub $500, most of the time you're going to get a very similar experience from all of the TVs. But if you are going to go with, say, TCL or Hisense, you will get a little bit more TV technology for the money. And I have always said that. And it does continue to be true this year. So, like the 55-inch U8 for $697, for example, it's not a bad TV. It's just you have to understand that for $200 more, you can get yourself an OLED TV. So if you are kind of like in that fringe category where you can't quite get to that OLED TV level, you can't spend that extra $200 to $300, then something like the U8, something like the U7, the QM7, the QM8, from TCL, those are going to be good. I really like the U7 series from Hisense. It has consistently been one of my favorite series that they offer. It does just appear to be one of the best bang for your buck every year when it comes down to this size range and when it comes down to this price bracket. So yeah, man, at this price, it's hard to go wrong with the U7 overall. Something like the 65-inch QN70F, though, however, is one that I would definitely say there are better TVs out there for the money. This is pretty much going to be very similar to an edge-lit TV, but instead it's edge-lit mini LED, and the difference is not going to be that huge other than peak brightness and a little bit of color. You want really good processing to go along with an OLED TV. At 55 inches, you have $1,000 for the XR8B, and this is a tremendous TV for everything that you're getting out of the TV. So it is going to be one that is highly recommended if this is kind of where you land. At the 65-inch size, it's $1199. And the only reason I would say you would buy this over the S90F is if you particularly just want the best processing that you can possibly get, and you're going to do a lot of streaming. But do know that the S90F is going to be brighter and have better color and be an overall better TV when it comes down to TV technology, since it is going to be a QD OLED. So it's $200 less than the S90F, and so there's a little bit more of a reason to grab this if you don't want to go for the S90F at $2,000. And again, when we're talking about what's better, you just kind of have to weigh those two things that we just discussed. If you're looking for a large TV, they do have a couple of 98-inch TVs on sale, and $16.98 for the QM6K is a pretty good deal overall. They do also have the QM7K in 98 inches for $2,000, which is going to be slightly better than this one. Is going to have higher peak brightness. So if you are looking for something a little bit brighter than this one right here, definitely pay the extra amount of money for the 98-inch QM7K. But if you look at some of the other 98-inch TV deals, there is some for $1,000. There's this one right here, the Hisense 98-inch QD5. And for a 98-inch TV at $1,000, you're definitely gonna get the size out of it. As far as the actual like picture quality goes, it's not gonna be terrible, but it's not gonna be like the QM7K we just discussed for $2,000. However, it is still a really good TV, and there's the QM7K right there. Same thing with the DU9000 from Samsung. Samsung does have some pretty good processing for their TVs that are large. So that is something that does go with Samsung, that it does do a really good job with the processing at that bigger size. So if you want a really sharp, clear image, the Samsung is a good way to go. They also have the Q7F at a little bit pricier than the DU9000. If you want a large TV, but you don't want to go with a 98-inch, there is an 83-inch LG B5 for $2,000 right here. This is an OLED TV, and so you are going to get much better picture quality out of this than you would out of the TVs we just talked about at 98 inches. So yes, it's not going to be that big in terms of 98 inches, but 83 inches will be big enough for most people. And I do think probably 98 inches is going to be overkill for most people anyway. So if you want a great balance of picture quality and size, the 83-inch LG B5 is a really awesome TV. Speaking of the LG B5, when you go to the 65-inch size, you can get that for $1,000. So if you're just looking for a really nice OLED TV for $1,000 at the 65-inch size, you can go that route as well. One of the more popular ones is going to be the G5 from LG. This is the premium offering from LG. It does have a 5-year panel warranty and a mount in the box. And I think that's probably why it's one of the better favorites for a lot of people, is because it is kind of like that total package. You're getting a lot for the 65-inch at $2,000, plus you get that 5-year panel warranty. And we're talking about a mount in the box. That's a pretty good deal overall for a premium OLED TV. Staying with that premium OLED TV, you're seeing that in the 77-inch size, it's very similar, if not the same price usually as the LG G5. In this case, you are going to see that the 65-inch is going to be more expensive than the G5, but the other sizes are pretty comparable and competitive. And the difference between the S95F and the G5 is going to be that QD-OLED panel, but also this is going to have a glare-free finish, which is going to be something you may want for a brighter room, especially one that is a very sunlit room where you're going to have a lot of problems with reflections on your TV. And if that is the case, then the S95F is a really good solution to that. Now, there is going to be also the case where maybe you are not going to like this screen coating and it's just not going to be what you want. And I would say definitely like look into the screen coating before you buy this TV, just to see if it is going to be what you need and what you want. But for the most part, if you are like in a dark room, that screen coating won't matter, and this picture quality is one of the best, and if you're a gamer, I highly recommend this TV. It's my best gaming TV. Here's one I don't want to fall under the radar, and that's gonna be the Z85B for $678. So that's a pretty dang good deal. And you also have the Z95 from last year as well for $1692 for the 65-inch. So definitely like look into last year's models, especially if you're on the budget for a OLED TV. Looking at this year's model, the 65-inch Z95B doesn't appear to be really on sale at all. For what I see, I have seen cheaper prices on this, so I would definitely steer clear of the Z95B at this time. I don't know why, but it's not on sale for Black Friday. However, the 2025 77-inch Z8 is going to be on sale for Black Friday. It looks like $2,000 is the deal there. And you can see that this is going to be pretty much going to be a similar TV to last year's Z95. And $2,000 for a 77-inch OLED TV is a pretty good deal. You have the Bravia 585-inch for $1698 if you're looking for a large TV that's going to have that Sony processing. This will be a good look for you in terms of what you're getting out of the TV. It's not too bad. Let's take a look at some of the sound bars that are on sale. We can see that there is the Sonos Arc Ultra, and this is going to be a very premium sound bar, but it's just going to be the bar itself, so you'll have to buy separate speakers and a separate subwoofer if you want to add on to it. If you're in a smaller room, I do like the Sonos Beam Gen 2 a lot. I have had this soundbar before, and it does a really good job in a small room. But in a larger room, it's probably not going to be enough for you. Sony Bravia Theater Bar 9 is a really awesome soundbar. I like this a lot. I actually have this soundbar, and it is one of my favorite standalone soundbars. It does a really good job at creating a nice soundstage despite just being a bar. It does a good job with the 360 spatial sound mapping that Sony is known for. I really do like this a lot. It's not quite as good as the quad in terms of the 360 sound, but you are going to get a pretty good experience for just a standalone soundbar. And you can also add on to this as well with a separate subwoofer and some separate speakers if you want to. The Bose Ultra is going to be similar to the Sonos Arc, like not as good as the Sonos Arc in my opinion. It does fall a little bit short of that, but it does have really good dialogue. And so if you're somebody that's really looking to pinpoint the dialogue, I think the Bose was one of the better ones for dialogue that I've personally heard. I haven't heard this one personally, but I've been hearing really good things about it. It's the Hisense HT Saturn 4.1.2 channel soundbar, and this is going to be very similar to a lot of other wireless like sound setups, kind of similar to what Sony is doing with the quad, but not as good from what I hear. A lot of people are saying it's not quite on the same level as the quad, but it is kind of like a budget version of the quad. So if you want that kind of all around setup, then this is going to be a way to look if you can't quite get to the quad. This is $899 on sale for Black Friday. Speaking of the Bravia Theater Quad, here it is for $21.99 on sale. So it is a really good sound system overall. I have reviewed it on this channel, and it is one that I really highly recommend if you are going to get the subwoofer with it. And I do think the subwoofer is very important to this setup. And if you can get that total package, it's probably one of the best, if not the best, audio setups you can get. That's going to be kind of like a set it, forget it, and then just don't even worry about it anymore. It's just going to sound amazing. You don't really have to go through a lot of setup with this. It just works. Here's a Samsung Q990F. This is a really good home theater in a box solution. It is going to give you a great sound overall. It's very similar to like what the Theater Bar 9 is, but I would say this is better than the Theater Bar 9 because it has everything with it and you don't have to buy anything extra. I do really love the sound stage that you're going to get out of this sound bar right here. So overall, I do like it a lot, and it is highly recommended, especially if you're somebody who already has a Samsung TV, then you can use the Q Symphony with it. really good overall. But yeah, I just wanted to go over a couple of deals that were available on Amazon for the Black Friday sale. And since I can't hit on all the TVs, definitely check out my other videos talking about Black Friday for all the other retailers as well as all the other brands. I made a couple of Black Friday guides that you should take a look at if you need extra help. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you in the next one.